Welcome to Stories from the 3 Billion Under 30, featuring interviews with world-class millennials as well as the celebrities, Fortune 500 executives, and mentors that guide us. Welcome everyone to yet another episode of Stories from the 3 Billion Under 30. I'm with my friend Amie Valpone, author of this book, Eat and Clean.
Thank you.
Which crushed it. How many copies did you sell in the first month?
A lot.
A lot. It was like 50,000 copies in the first 5 weeks.
Something like that.
Like, I'm insanely jealous. And also learning a lot from Amie because I want to sell 50,000 copies in the first 5 weeks. And I want to sell 100,000 copies total.
You will.
At like minimum.
You totally will.
Maybe if I use some of like Craig and Sarah's like ad buying strategies.
Yeah. Have Craig come give you tips.
Yeah, as like you'll see in the cast of characters I have on this web series, I tend to meet a lot of people through other super connectors. And so Neil Strauss actually connected me to Craig and Sarah at the same time. And then Craig and Sarah have connected me to like Nick Onken, who I had on the show, and Amie Valpone, and probably a few other people I haven't even interviewed yet. So.
And now we're like best buddies.
So thanks for having us in your place.
Of course.
Can you tell us what's on the floor
what
here?
We're doing, why we're sitting on the floor on pillows.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see this, but we have
We're in my living room in Manhattan, and we were going to cook for you, but we thought it would be a lot more fun to sit on my meditation pillows. So I have all these fun little crystals. So I healed from 10 years of chronic illness, and the last stage of my journey has been kind of doing energy healing. And so the energy work has actually I've been seeing insane results, and just the feelings that I've been getting and all of my symptoms have been disappearing just in the last, I guess, year. And so I don't know, my life has just kind of shifted into meditation and crystals, and I'm telling you, of course.
Touch these?
Of course, and I'm like 10 years ago, if you told me to like touch a crystal,
there's
or
like a whole bunch of these things on the
crystals,
floor right now.
I would have said you were crazy, but
that's one crystal. That's a rock.
They're
there's
all
like
cool.
30
they
of
mean,
them.
Yeah.
So what does some of them mean?
I spend like my life savings on these things now. They're like super expensive, but they're kind of amazing. So every one means different things. Like the black ones, these guys like protect your energy. So like when you're doing like when you're speaking or when you're going to do something, like this is hematite. So like I had a lot of like negative energy in me when I was really sick, and so my energy woman had me hold that for a long time until it gets really hot, and so all the negative energy is kind of leaving your body. Trust me, I thought this stuff was nuts, and then I started seeing results, and I was like, this is kind of crazy. And so I haven't talked about this yet on my website or any of my work, because I'm still like, people are gonna think I'm nuts. But yeah, it's cool. This little black one I keep on my computer because
but it's okay.
The electromagnetic waves don't kind of get to you and interfere. But yeah, I've learned that our bodies were really all just energy in these bodies. And so I never even knew this throughout my healing process. But at the end, when I'm just in the last stage of the healing, I'm like, wow, it's kind of fascinating that I'm seeing results from this kind of work. Mm-hmm. Along with food, obviously. I feel like it starts with food, but food is not everything. Our minds control our bodies.
Sure.
And so that's really what I'm kind of diving into now.
Yeah, I feel like everything here represents something. I mean, there's like all these books on love and meditation, which is, I'm going to just say it's like self-love.
It is, totally.
And or relationships in your life.
Exactly.
Both personally and professional.
Exactly. It's so true.
You have food.
Almond butter.
So
I get cases of almond butter sent to me from brands, and this just came today. Packets of almond butter and cashew butter. So I work with a lot of food brands, and they send me products to use and share with my clients and friends and different things like that. So
I mean, your expertise in all this mashup is food, obviously, but I would love for you to share with everyone why you do what you do in the first place. Can you walk us through, like when I met you, just hearing your story for 5 minutes, you're just like, holy shit, I don't know anyone who's ever gone through that ever, or 1/10 of what you've gone through. And the fact that you've figured out how to go through the process that you've gone through and come out stronger on the other side, and then be able to teach others about it. I mean, that authenticity and that strength is why you're selling a lot of books. It's why you're really resonating with your audience. I think it'll resonate with mine too by sharing your story.
Thank you. So the full story is actually in my new book, and it is like been blowing people away because even some of my closest friends are reading it and they're like, I had no idea you even went through all this. And so at the age, I'm 33 now, at the age of 22, I was, working at Vogue magazine and fashion, and my legs started swelling up with like 40 pounds of fluid every day. And I was like 90 pounds at the time. I couldn't gain weight. And the doctors put me on steroids, painkillers, water pills. They were giving me bone marrow biopsies. I was living pretty much at the cancer center downtown. And they sent me out to Mayo Clinic for a whole week in Minnesota, got another bone marrow biopsy. And they told me nothing was wrong and that I had to be on these drugs for the rest of my life, which I was like, this is crazy. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, after being on all these drugs, I contacted something called C. diff colitis, which is deadly. So I was given 24 hours to live about 5 years ago. And I was on disability from my job. And the human resources department from my job called me and said, we think you're kidding because you're blogging. Because at the time, I had started to get back into food, and I went back to school for food at night and started a food blog, which is what myhealthyapple.com is now. And so they thought I was kidding, which was kind of wild. And I turned the phone off and I said, I'll never go back to corporate America ever again. They don't care about me. They're thinking I'm lying. And here I am on a morphine drip trying to save my life.
Yeah, thinking that you have 24 hours to live, I mean.
Totally. So, I was like 24, 25. So I was like, okay, this is like totally crazy. I'm just going to quit my corporate job and do my own thing. And I love working with brands and I love doing all this stuff. So I taught myself food photography and recipe development and how to teach myself how to eat without gluten, dairy, soy, sugar, corn, eggs. I mean, all the foods that I had to start to cut out that were inflaming my body. And so that's really how I learned how to, I was going crazy. I was eating like cucumbers and salsa, you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm going to kill myself. I need actual food. So that's when I really learned, like, how do you create flavor and not feel deprived without, going and binging on like Ben and Jerry's ice cream. You know what I mean? Because you're like, I feel so deprived.
Which I did last
I'm 25, totally. All my friends are out drinking and having pizza, and I'm like sitting here having like steamed kale and still getting side effects. So then I went through 5 years of functional integrative medicine, which means these doctors like get you off drugs and they want to figure out like the root cause of your problems and your symptoms. And so that's when they found like Lyme disease, which was false negatives for 15 years. Hypothyroidism, leaky gut, mold, heavy metal, or off the chart mold, off the chart heavy metals.
Name a medical problem. Amy's had it.
Fibromyalgia, Epstein-Barr. And so I started crying when I got all these results because I was like, how many people in this country are so sick and they're not getting the answers that they need? Like, Western medicine told me I was crazy and nothing was wrong with me. And so that's when this whole journey started. And I said, if I survive, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people and lifting them up and realizing that you're not crazy. And it starts with food, but it's not just food. So my first book just came out and it is all about food, but it's also about how to detox your cleaning supplies, your beauty products, your personal care products, your food. But it's also like our skin's our biggest organ, right? So our deodorant, our makeup, our sunscreen is all full of chemicals, which goes right into our bloodstreams, which has to filter through our liver and things that people don't even think about. So that's when I just kind of said, I'm gonna do this. And
how did you research all of this?
Everything in the book actually came from my experience. So it was like the 6 years of working with functional medicine doctors. So I've worked with over 500 doctors. And so every doctor taught me something different.
We have Dr. Amie Valpone here.
I know, I feel like I have my like PhD over here on, or MD I should say. But yeah, so I just read every single book that I could get my hands on with functional medicine and tried to understand how to detox the body in a healthy way, not like a detox in terms of a cleanse, but really to get the bad stuff out, like the Lyme disease, all these toxins that are like sitting in our bodies. And so you realize like every day we're bombarded by toxins, from our tap water to our car exhaust to, whatever it may be, right? Plastics that surround our food, there's chemicals in everything. And so our bodies need support on a daily basis to help us stay healthy. Or else it manifests in things like acne or bloating or weight gain or water weight.
So don't live in a bubble, but figure out how to handle the environment we're in.
Exactly. We all have to go out to eat and drink wine or enjoy yourselves, go on trips, things like that. But just every day, just be mindful of the choices that you're making. And so that's really what I plan to do, and help people with.
What's been the most surprising part of this journey so far?
My book success. I'm like blown away. I am honestly just blown away. I mean, I reached out to probably over 200 people to help support the book, bloggers, influencers, food brands, like wellness brands, and pretty much everyone said yes. I think I only had a few people that couldn't do it, and people I didn't even know knew who I was, and I've just felt so much love from this launch. It's just been amazing. So that's been really incredible, because I was like, who's gonna read the book? And I mean, I have a great following and I have an amazing audience, but you just don't know, to get a book out unless you're doing TV or something like that, who's reading the book, right? So that was really exciting for me.
I kind of want to stress how severe your situation has been, because part of why I love you, part of why your audience has loved you is because you're so authentic in sharing it, which there's certain strength to having gone what you've gone through, and there's a certain strength to being able to share it, and then fight to fix it for yourself and others in the future, because you're in the last stages of your healing, and then you'll live the rest of your life, hopefully, knock on wood, healthy, and in a mode of fighting the environment or working with the environment to stay healthy.
Totally.
But can you tell us a little bit more about the severity of your medical problems over the years?
Definitely. So I pretty much didn't leave.
Or even right now,
Yeah, I didn't leave my apartment for weeks at a time the last 10 years. I remember just being in my apartment the last few winters and being like, oh, it's been 3 weeks since I went outside. In New York, it's easy because you get your food delivered, and my mother would come in and kind of help me clean, and I'd have send my laundry out, so that was easy. But cooking for yourself is exhausting when you're not feeling well, and so I can't eat anything out of a box or a package. My body still swells up, and so that's exhausting, right? Even if it's just cutting up organic chicken with vegetables, and to make it and then to wash the dishes and all that. So that was exhausting. But yeah, I lived the last 4 years pretty much in an Epsom salt bath, and I have an infrared sauna, and slept on a biomat every night, and was on about 50 supplements for 5 years a day. 50 supplements a day for 5 years. And yeah, I went from doctor to doctor to doctor. But once I started to realize that no doctor was ever going to help me, they all gave me ideas, I just started to put all this together and put my whole own program together. And so it was kind of hard because you had to fight everything, the Lyme disease, the polycystic ovarian syndrome, all these different things. And then they all counteract. One, if you're polycystic ovarian syndrome, you become insulin resistant like a diabetic. So you're not supposed to eat certain things. But then for Lyme, you're supposed to eat different. And so everything counteracts, and you're just left and you're like, I don't even know what to eat. I don't even know what to freaking do. Everyone thinks I'm crazy, And so I just had to sit by myself. And that's kind of how all of this started. And I'm the biggest extrovert. I am always been the life of the
super
party.
Friendly and...
So totally. And then just in the last 3 years, midway through all this, I realized I started my business. I became an introverted extrovert, and I love my alone time. I cannot be alone enough. I love people and I love being with incredible people, but
she snarled at us when we walked in.
I did not snarl. But I really crave my alone time. I get recharged right here. And I'm telling you, 10 years ago, I worked at Vogue magazine. If you handed me a green juice, or if you said to go sit in silence for 5 minutes, I would have been like, lady, I don't even have time to pee. My boss is yelling at me, I'm stressed out, but I was almost
Typical New Yorker.
I was unconscious, for 30 years of my life. And now I'm conscious, and I'm realizing if I don't take care of this, nothing's gonna happen. And so my book just came out, and everybody's like, what's next? Where's your next book? What are you doing next? Where are you going to travel? Where are you going to speak? And I'm kind of the old Amie would have been the next book's out. Here we go. This is this. And I'm kind of no, you know what? I'm 33 and it's been 11 years that I've been in bed, and I'm going to have a little fun and enjoy my life and not really work a lot. I woke up and took a bath yesterday morning, and I was like, this is amazing. Just getting through your day without pain. I can't even tell you what that's like. It's mind-blowing. It's actually really emotional, and that's what I'm doing, getting a lot of the trauma out of my mind. And so for 10 years, every time I closed my eyes, I would picture my dad getting in a car accident, my sister getting stabbed, me cutting a cucumber but slitting my wrist instead. And I told my girlfriend this 2 years ago, and she was like, I was like, doesn't everybody have those bad thoughts? And she was like, no, that's called trauma. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, I've never even been in those situations. She's like, no, your medical trauma is causing, it's like negative energy. And I was like, what? Like, this is also crazy. And so I started doing like some energy work, and I'm not kidding, after like 4 sessions, that was a year ago. I haven't had, after 4 sessions, which was like 4 weeks, no more negative thoughts like that. Like, mind blowing. So it's like, I was like, okay, so this is all really crazy to me. And that's when I started to dive more into like the mind body stuff, just to finish up. I mean, I feel I'm like 99% amazing, but now I'm just doing more like...
You're 100% amazing.
I know, thank you. But like 100%,
You're 99%
like 99% healed. Amazingly healed, I should say. But it's really just little tweaks, and I'm like, so like the hormones or like fluid retention, things like that. But it's the kind of stuff that you realize, and I know a lot of people that are probably watching this, you go to doctors and they're like, oh, you're constipated, or you have insomnia, or you're bloated, or you can't lose weight or something. Like, here's a drug, or we don't know, drink more water, eat more fiber. I mean, the people my clients that come to me, it's like what the doctors tell them to do. I'm like, oh my God, it's crazy. And so you start to realize at the end of the day, you're giving your power away to somebody else. Like, we're taught when we're little, you're sick, you go to somebody, they tell you what's wrong with you, and they give you a drug to make you better. But we really have the power to figure out what's going on and to kind of help our lives. And I think we're in that stage right now where we're seeing wellness. We're seeing the whole wellness and pharmaceutical, I don't even know. Yeah.
Well, because you have the sum total of all human knowledge accessible in our smartphone.
Totally.
Which a doctor also has. Mm-hmm. And if they're not using it properly, then they're not helping us. And we can also learn that, without getting flipped out about all the potential side effects that random blogs are mentioning.
Yes.
To help heal us.
Exactly.
So I'm curious, what are the what are the foods you can eat? What are the most clean foods that anyone could have to be healthy?
Definitely. So fruits and vegetables.
Because you've had an ixnay
yeah, I lived off of 5 foods for 10 years. So
what are those 5 foods?
Oh gosh, it was vegetable. There was a point where I couldn't even eat vegetables because I would get so bloated. I mean, there was a point where I lived off protein powder for 4 years. It was crazy.
Protein powder is healthy.
No, it's not healthy. But the ones that doctors have, functional medicine doctors have protein powders, and they're cleaner, because the ones that are sold in the stores are full of heavy metals and ingredients that you do not want to be eating. Sadly, and I learned that the hard way. But yeah, now nuts and raw nuts and seeds.
So raw nuts and seeds.
Fruits and vegetables, avocados. Anything that's anti-inflammatory, ground flax seeds, raw walnuts, your leafy green vegetables, really good healthy fats. If you can eat eggs, organic eggs. I just started to be able to eat eggs a few months ago, which has been amazing. If you eat animal protein, organic animal protein. But again, you want to eat organic, because if you're not, you're eating growth hormones and antibiotics and pesticides and herbicides from these plants and animals, which no one ever taught me about. So it's all toxins that are just getting into our liver, and our liver can't really process these things.
Right.
So that was really mind-blowing to me. And once I started to clean everything up, and you're really lessening the body burden on your liver, you realize that your body can work easier.
Yeah.
Easily.
And what were your 2 or 3 go-to coping mechanisms when you were talking about negative thoughts and negative energy and all the work you've done around that? How when you were going through more than a decade of harsh, really strong treatment, and then healing your trauma, what have been your top 2 or 3, coping mechanisms, your go-to strategies to alleviate some of that stress, or to move from negative to positive thoughts?
Definitely. I never did therapy, but I started to work with people who were doing energy work, and so they would explain to me kind of what was going on in my body. And so I tried everything from Reiki to acupuncture to massage to, different energy modalities. And so I started to realize, just sitting with my eyes closed, even if you're not meditating and you're just thinking about just sitting in silence. I think that so many people try to meditate. They're like, I can't meditate, I can't do this. And they get, I'm frustrated, and they get up. And it's that's not, you want to leave a different person, right? You want to leave a different person than you sat down on your cushion for. And so it really comes down to what are the things that you can do every day to, I want people to learn how to eat clean and live clean, not because they should, but because once you see life this way, you'll never go back, right? And so what are the things that you can do every day to kind of make your life feel so amazing?
So meditation is one of them.
Totally. Meditation. And then sitting in silence, or like laying in silence, even if you're not meditating. And then also just being gentle with yourself. I know that sounds really silly and crazy, but it comes down to self-love and self-care, and not like the shit that we tell ourselves every day. Oh God, I'm so stupid. God, I should have done that. Oh God, I look terrible. Or that, like, people compliment you. That's a new shirt. Or you look great. And people are like, oh, this is like, or oh, I'm so tired. You look so nice. Like, you hear the things that what you're saying to people, and then what you're saying to yourself every day. I mean, the thoughts that we tell ourselves every day that we're not even conscious of are always so negative, right? It's like our ego mind is.
So how do you fix that?
So you catch the thought and release it. And then once you train, it's almost like training your mind. Joe Dispenza wrote this amazing book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And so it's really catching those thoughts and those actions that you're doing and witnessing it and realizing like you need a shift in perception. And that's how it is. And then you train your brain to no longer do that. So it's kind of, it's hard to explain, but once you start doing it, it's really amazing.
Right. So you've gone through a lot. You're able to share it in a book form, like, or at the beginning of the show, or like lifting up all the free shit you get.
I'll give you some.
Yes.
For your airplane ride.
For my what?
Airplane ride.
Oh. Well, thanks. Can you explain this? Like, can you explain what the day-to-day is? Like, what allows you to sell 50,000 bucks in 5 weeks? What allows you to get free stuff in the mail? Like, what does Amie do on a day-to-day basis?
Every day is so different. But I mean, I started out when I just reaching out to random brands. I used to walk the aisles of Whole Foods Market and write down the name of the brands and their websites, and then just contact them. So that's how I literally started my business.
What would you say?
I would say, hi, I'm Amie. I have this website, thehealthyapple.com, that gets like 5 viewers a month. And
really?
Yeah, I mean, I had like no viewers. But then I started saying, like, I'll develop recipes for you. I'll do food photography for you. And I taught myself all this kind of stuff. And it was so fun. I mean, I love what I do. It's
you
not
did it
work.
for free at the beginning? Or
Yeah. And so I did a little bit for free, like the first like year and a half. And then I was like, okay, now you can start to charge a lot of brands.
But would it work
like
to reach out to those brands in the same way and say, yeah, there's a fee for that? Like hey, I'm Amie, I got 100,000 followers.
And now
I'll make
that's what I
recipes
do.
for you, and they're like, oh my god, yeah, sure.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, my fee for doing that is this.
Exactly, and that's what I do now. Oh yeah.
So it's like less salesy. Well, yeah. It's like, here's the value to provide to you.
And then they look at your platform.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it's not even just about numbers. It's I'm finding now, because we're so saturated with bloggers, and we're just there's too much content on the internet and everywhere. There's so many websites, and it's not just about content, it's about the story behind it and the authenticity. And so I think that's we're moving into we're seeing that with even food brands, right? It's like all these brands are pulling out the crap ingredients, and you're seeing these like mom and pop amazing like Brooklyn styled mustards and like these like really homegrown like amazing authentic brands. And so I think people and brands especially are really resonating with authentic stories and journeys, because they want to be able to relate to it. And a lot of people, at the end of the day, everybody's going through something. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going, whether it's a health issue or something little like acne or bloating or insomnia or family stuff or work. Everybody's got no one has got it all figured out, right? Like, we've all got shit going on. And so like ways that you can help other people get through their day or their journey, that's really what I want to be doing for people. So I did a lot of work with brands. I wrote for a ton of magazines and newspapers, and it's been amazing, and I still love doing that. But my focus now is really building thehealthyapple.com more and coming up with programs and just really helping people on a deeper level instead of just recipes.
Right, to build out the book, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, you shared your story. Here's a 21-day program. What do you do after?
Yeah.
What do you do after you fix yourself? How do you do the maintenance?
Day 22 and on. Yeah. And I think I never realized how many people.
That's the name of your program, Day 22.
I know. I was thinking that the other day.
It's like a boy band.
Totally.
Like Day 22.
Totally. But it's like I really never fully realized how many people are suffering until my book came out. I mean, people all over the world, Dubai and Germany. I mean, it's like everybody's suffering from something, and we're seeing so much more autoimmune disease, Lyme disease, all these things, and it's pretty crazy, and it's sad. And so no one knows where to turn. No one's really getting answers. So I really want to help as many people as I can without getting stuck back into the illness side of it. Really focusing more on helping people. But I think my best advice.
Amie's got the answer.
No.
Can we start that?
Oh my God, you're great. But no, I think that what we're seeing is just more vulnerability in brands and in people. And I think those are the brands that are really going to start, elevating, because these days everyone wants something to relate to, right?
Okay, so how does a brand become vulnerable? Is it hiring a spokesperson who's vulnerable?
Definitely. So that I do a lot of that. That's one way. Another way too is.
Who are you spokespersoning for right now?
I can't say yet.
You can't?
I haven't. I'm signing the contracts next week, but I'll let you know after that. But I've done a lot in the past, and so honestly, like brands like Earthbound Farm and like Almond Breeze, different things like that I've worked with. But it really comes down to like somebody like Campbell Soup is taking out all the crap, and who is it? Kraft Macaroni and Cheese took out all the dyes. Like that's vulnerability. Like they're taking out. And they're coming out with it in press releases, right? Like Sabra Hummus just went non-GMO.
Like, sorry, we were poisoning you for the last X amount of time. Now we're gonna poison you.
And they're becoming vulnerable and talking about this stuff and showing like we care about our people. And so I think it's really coming all back down to
we care slightly more than we did before.
It's really all about the money, but the people a little bit. But these amazing brands, and these brands are all doing incredible things. And these even companies like General Mills, who's making like Laura Bar and Muir Glen tomato sauce, and these organic products that are really fascinating. So a lot of the bigger companies are coming out with smaller, organic brands that are really helpful.
Yeah, and where do you see like the biggest impact that you can have or want to have long term using the healthyapple.com and all your other business activities?
Definitely. I mean, I really want to keep writing best-selling books and speaking. I mean, I think someone like Chris Carr is amazing. She has cancer and she's done incredible things for people with cancer. She's written best-selling books and she speaks all over the country. And I think we need someone like that for other ailments and just to help lift people up. And I admire her and everything that she's done. And there's so many people that are doing something like that, but with different audiences, whether it's like spiritual or yoga or whatever it may be. And I would love to keep doing that, but definitely coming out with my programs and working on these kind of series for my site to just help people on a deeper level before my next book comes out. Because I'm not really ready to write the next book yet. My agent wants me to, and I just want that idea to come to me. I don't want to just push to write another book because I want it to be another really great book. But I think giving people more hands-on and access to me personally through these programs on my site will really help people.
You're not like me. I'm like 18 months after the first book.
I know.
Second book's gonna come.
Yeah.
Tell us about the courses then. Tell us about the ongoing education you've been providing.
Definitely. So I have 11 ebooks I created last year when the day after I handed my book in because I couldn't sit still. So I created 11 books, everything from like irritable bowel syndrome.
You handed in your book and then you wrote 11 other books?
Yeah, 11 ebooks. I guess it was in winter and I was like, I don't know what else to do.
Did you do this all in one day?
No, it took me like 2 months. But each book is like 100 pages, and so they talk about everything from arthritis to eczema to IBD to colitis, all these different, or how to heal your gut.
Did you get those for free before the book came out?
No, I haven't put them out yet.
Oh,
because
wow.
I still have to edit them. They're really long.
Yeah, that's over 1,000 pages.
Really long.
Yeah.
So I have to go back and edit and kind of clean them up a little bit, which is going to take a little while. But then I'm going to put them on my site and then come up with one big course, or maybe a few courses, but one at first to really help people through different things.
So where can we find out more about that?
Everything's on thehealthyapple.com, and social media, I'm at The Healthy Apple for everything.
So just follow the newsletter, you'll get
Totally. Sign up for that newsletter. There's always good stuff. There's always good stuff in newsletters.
You wanted to say shit.
I do. It's more shit than I say on my website. Here's the extra shit you need to know.
So other than what we can find on your book and your site, what do you want the viewer at home to really take away? Whether it's about health-related stuff, whether it's about book marketing, whether it's about building a personal brand, what do you feel is most important that we take away from this?
Definitely. I think there's two parts to it. Number one is the thing that I realized even when I was sick and I was just starting out my business, I kept pushing myself. And I think that's our generation. Push, the next best thing, social media. And I got sicker and sicker and sicker. And so if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And it's really hard to understand that when you have your health. But as your health starts slipping, take the time to make those little corrections without popping in Advil or taking over-the-counter Mylanta or whatever it is every time something's coming on, because what's really happening is there's underlying imbalances that are causing headaches or causing bloating or whatever it may be, insomnia, and over time it's just going to get worse and worse. So if you nip it in the butt right away,
Right.
you're good to go. And every entrepreneur, you realize, has a balanced lifestyle. Like, no entrepreneur is like, go, 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 go. You're going to burn out. You know what I mean? And you're going to burn out your adrenals, you know what I mean? Which is going to up your cortisol and put weight on. And, you know, it's a vicious cycle. And so, you know, a lot of people don't want to hear about it until you're actually in it. So that's definitely my first piece of advice. And the second piece is what I was kind of saying before, when you really see how amazing you can feel, like when you clean up your lifestyle, like you'll never go back. And it could be the same, you can look at that in terms of business too. When you see cleaning up your business and or taking negative people out of your life, or dedicating more time to just you by yourself to let ideas come to you, and stop looking at social media and stop looking at what your competition is doing. I mean, in business school I learned benchmarking your competition, see what everyone else is doing. But I found that, you know, that's all great and all if you want to do that, but for me, after a while, I just felt like it was too much information in my head. And so I don't look at what anyone else is doing with food or wellness or any of that. I unsubscribe from every email, and I just listen to myself and do what comes from me, and it's more authentic. And then I don't have to worry about all these other voices and all this other stuff that's going on. I'm more clear in my mind.
Sure.
And I think that goes for any industry. If you're just doing your own thing, I was with Satya last night, who started Satya Jewelry, who's a famous jeweler all over the world. And she said the same thing. We were in ABC Home last night, and she said, this looks like mine, this looks like mine. And she's like, this is why I stopped looking at other jewelry. And she said, because it gets your head. Then you get different ideas. She's like, you just do your own thing, and you stay your own path, and you will see yourself rise. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. But I think along the way, and this has been really, I'm 33 now, but in my 20s, I lost a lot of friends when I was sick. And so I think one of the biggest things comes down is like, someone always told me, don't keep so people around for too long when you hire them. And it's the same way with friends. If someone's not supporting you and lifting you up, or is jealous or is bringing you down, like, they don't deserve a spot in your life. And life is too precious, and we have very little time anymore. So spend the time with the people who you love and who like bring you up and rise you up.
Totally.
Because it's actually going to help your business a lot.
That is,
because they're draining.
I'm with you on a such serious note. Like,
and as women, we feel bad. Oh my God, I shouldn't cut them out. It's like, you don't have to cut them out of your life, but you just say, I'm busy right now. You know, I need to focus on me.
On a not so serious note, that reminds me of a Drake lyric where the first song of his new album, it's like, all my let's just be friends aren't friends I don't have anymore.
Totally.
That's like, I think that's like the first like bar of his entire album. Anyways.
No, it's so
very
true.
Serious note. Totally true. That's how I'm building my brand or one of the ways I'm building my brand is, you know, I pride myself on being a super connector, and I avoid negative people and people with low integrity at all costs.
Totally.
Or even people that like seemingly look like that, if they have like bad press, I'll like distance myself until it's good again to come back. You know, zero bullshit tolerance, zero.
Yeah. And you'll notice once you start doing that, it's all energy, right? So if you're putting out good energy, it's all energy. The most incredible people will start to come into your life, and you'll meet. It's like when you and I met, we were like,
standards.
We're there, you're on the same frequency. I mean, we met 2 months ago and we've gotten together 3 or 4 times. I mean, that doesn't happen with everyone, right? So there's people, yes, love, but there's people that will come into your life and you'll be like, yes, this works.
Sure.
And that's how the closest people to me right now, that's it. We met, and within 5 minutes we were like, this is awesome, when can we get together next? And it's like boom, 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 you help each other, you network, and you rise together. It's not like this little petty, like, scrapping for shit, you know? So.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You are awesome. When can we get together next? And in the meantime, check out Amie's book and check out thehealthyapple.com. We'll include some links in the description.
Thanks. And say hi.
Come
say hi and leave a comment or a question.
Hashtag Amie knows the answers.
Oh, I hope so. Yes.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching another episode of Stories from the 3 Billion Under 30. Now, if you want to see more stories from the 3 Billion Under 30, we actually have a book coming out in January called 3 Billion Under 30. And if you go and click the link in the description below, you can get 3 free stories from the next book right now. Not in January, now. So check it out and follow the rest of the web series in order to see more interviews just like this one.